Wasn't the expression that I said on the channel, it was his ass was blown out? It sounds like my talk. Tore loose, tore out, blown out. My eye was fine. I had my shit underneath my hair. Nobody saw nothing. The shit's got to go. And on Van Franken, they were calling it, that was Sesame Street, and they were calling it doggy daycare. I don't know what they're doing. All I'm known is the motherfuckers that were filming me. What are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna do with them? I don't want to think about it right now. Heads gotta roll. Cut heads off. Baseball bats. Roly poly. Fuck heads rolling down the avenue. You don't put cameras in people's house. You don't bother them. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Francis Bean would not do that. Courtney Love would not do that. They would, but they pull the plug as soon as you started talking, because those two bitches would say, "We want to sit down. We want to sit down privately and fucking without constant comment." That's Mako Blue. That's what I call that blue that just went by. Me and Nick used to stand in a paint booth all fucking day, being like, "We're gonna have fucking three-headed babies." Standing in a paint booth all day. Back in the 90s, there was real weed. This shit here's a joke on the street. No, these days, no, this shit would kill you. Hydroponic, fucking chronic. On lunch, you'd come back and you get in a paint booth, you're ready to go, and you turn on the paint, and you're like, spray motherfucking cars. Shit goes right to your head. You take off your mask, and your fucking eyes are crazy like Manson. I used to take my mask off and look at Nick. He'd be like, "You look fucking crazy." Like, it's pain. Standing around lacquer all day, huffing lacquer fumes, huffing primer paint, huffing fucking. Nick would get down and turn on his 90 grit and start fucking bondoing cars and sanding them. I didn't do that shit. I just did maintenance and paint. Luscious Francis Bean pussy. What are we gonna do about all your video? It's too big. It's just typical of you to start your shit the second I sit down. All right, it's all about today. It's just like any other day. It's all about knocking up Francis Bean, Mila, especially, and Maya when I'm done. After I'm sure I got those two pregnant. That's all I give a fuck about. What the fuck you be doing putting videotape? I can't. It's unthinkable and unconscionable. It's my love. That's my girl. And my love does it good. My wild love went riding. Little Milaba. She rode all the day. She rode to the devil. And I asked him to pay. But the devil was wiser. Little Milaba. Look at me, Dad. Look. Dude, I'm throwing. When I get the fuck out of here, I'm throwing a banger to end all bangers. And it's just like me. I think I'm going to throw it for myself. And I don't know anybody anymore. If I could get Albert, just Albert and Ted and Amelia and a couple other girls that I pick. And I'd force everybody to take hallucinogenic drugs and speed all night. I'd even dose Albert. I wonder if he'd get mad about something like that. I miss Albert so much. Oh my God, I'd give anything to hang out with him. He could just magically, he was a Manson in his own right. He can magically put his hand up and take away all your pain with just a wave of a hand. Magic. And he only came over when he was ready to give magic, so he always come over and he's always in a mood. We'd be for years we wouldn't show him where the studio was because we knew he'd be there all the time. He got into the magic circle and we gave Albert the black book because we couldn't live without him. Albert remembers Casey. Albert remembers all that shit. He remembers the 4-jack recordings on State Street. He remembers everything. He was there for everything. You take Albert to your party, he'll tell you jokes all fucking night while you're in your electric chair and just make you smile. And he loves you. He'll tell you that too. And this is a hard man. He's like me. He's not a pussy. But he'd bend down when he's ready to leave and say, "I love you. I want you to be a good boy." And then he'd leave. And that's like your brother. Straight up die for the motherfucker. And me, I used to make recordings of everybody knows that about me. I used to make recordings of everybody on the telephone. especially Albert. I'd record him right in front of his face because he was such a magnificent, magnanimous speaker. Gold and diamonds. He would spat. If you get, if wow, that thing's rusted the fuck out. If you, what are you gonna do with that? What are you gonna? Why is that on a flatbed? What are you gonna do with that thing? Take it to another dump? I don't get it. But yeah, no, he was just so inspiring, and if you get him into a whirlwind, he'd get lost in his emotions, and he would just get going, and just the most incredible speaker. And I'd listen to it when I was lonely. And if I had those recordings still, I would. Albert used to record everything too. There was constantly a tape rolling, constantly. It was either his boombox, some Nick's 4 track, Ted's 4 track, 8 track, my tape cassette field recorder. We were things were different in the '90s, man. That's all I can tell you is they were way fucking different. Because I don't know a group that does that anymore. Is there a group of boys that stands around and does that shit to each other? And just they try to scat in the moonlight and do wop on the street corner like we used to do, and just meet at the pool hall. I mean, I don't know if people even get down like that anymore. But I especially Albert had it. I told you, but he was much younger than me. He was about 35 maybe, but he had a fucking 13-year-old girlfriend, and I just thought that was the most incredible, wonderful thing ever. He'd bring her over. He treated her. He used to call her, and the sick thing was he used to call her mama or mother. He'd be like, "What do you think, mother?" And she was all 13, and it was just part of Albert's sick joke on the world. And yeah, fucking Albert, dude. That's all I can tell you about that. He used to call her mother. That's all I'm gonna do with Neil about saying the fucking thing. What do you think, mommy? I think it's getting late. It's time to go. Like his 13-year-old girlfriend used to come over and cook us all dinner because she was a good cook. She was like a latchkey kid, and she used to cook for Albert. That's why I discovered Mrs. Dash. She was putting that shit on everything. And I asked her after the dinner one night because she was cooking up all our food pantry shit, but she made it so wonderful. I'm like, what the fuck did you do to those green beans? What did you do to those instant mashed potatoes? Because I acquired I still have one for instant potatoes from the food pantries. There's a Mrs. Dash, and I'm like, that's what you did? You just sprinkle that on? I love your cooking. It was great. Those were I definitely would go into the bathroom and slit one of my wrists if I can go back to those days, hanging out with Albert, drinking at the blockhouse, driving around in his Homer Simpson K car, fucking, and Theo and Nick. Yeah, we all know each other. It's not right that the gang is busted up. It's so fucked up and weird. Just not right. Because in the natural world, we'd all be together.